What up, everyone? This is Mr. Lord, Dr. Professor, Dark Joker, here with another edition of Traditional Fans with Opinions, where I'll give my reviews for whoever I watched, read, or played today. And who are Traditional Fans with Opinions? That is myself, and that is you, the viewers. With all that being said, on with the reviews. Bye Bye Earth, Season 2, Episode 5. So in this one, Adonis, Gaff, and a lot of these priests, they're taking Sion's body into this lake inside that god tree. And so Sherry she reveals that she's siding with Adonis by singing some song that opens a path so that basically Sherry and Adonis can question God. Gaff tries to stop them, but Adonis summons the army of insatiable emptiness, and Sherry tells Gaff and his men that God will forsake them if they resist. And with facing no other option, Gaff orders that Belle, Bennett, and Guinness be released from prison. Belle relives some of her memories, while she's dreaming stuff. She meets like some grown-up version of herself that's like a phoenix. And when she wakes up, she sees that Rundine is, gradually repairing itself. They're all escorted to the tree. You know, they're basically escorted under guard, but a lot of their friends help them get free of those guards. You know, Adonis summons this girl to guide him and Sherry through the tree. Sherry tells him that she only helped him because she wanted to meet God, but Belle will stop him. Adonis is like, no, I'll freaking destroy her. So Belle's group fights the army, and some zombie steals the sword of Adonis's father and goes further into the tree. Guinness uses a spell learned from the king to deal with the zombies' anti-magic. Then Belle faces a zombie called Redrum, who was like a cannibal that proclaims Adonis to be his king. He cracks Rooting with his hammer, but Belle's like willpower helps Runding repair, and then Redrum is struck down by Belle. That's really it. So yeah, looks like it's setting up a big battle, inside the tree, with different factions involved. You have Gap's faction, Adonis's faction, Belle's faction, you know, God itself, and, maybe Sherry, depending on what all her intentions are. I mean, I haven't read the source material, so I don't know exactly how everything goes, so it's hard to say what all Sherry's intentions are. Whether or not she is siding with Belle, whether or not she's basically her own side. So, they have Gaff with all his stuff. So yeah, I thought this was an interesting episode. Definitely, a lot of stuff's picking up, so stories, going on quicker. Yeah, I'm interested to see what next week's episode does. See if the gradual pickup that this season has gone, if it leads to something good. Fire Force Season 3, Episode 5. So in this one, Arthur has just cut down a member of the White Clad. Everyone's, glad to see Arthur. Then this White Clad member named Dragon appears. Basically, the way he talks is kind of similar to Arthur, except he doesn't sound as retarded as Arthur does. So, they start fighting. Arthur's like, basically, he's like, the Night King's finally fighting the dragon. So this is like the first of like their multiple fights. they're fine. Like Dragon, like he wins the fight basically. Then while this is going on, everyone's concerned about those like Obi's getting turned to like an infernal, but it's revealed that the bug was never able to bite him because basically Obi worked out so much while in the cell that he basically was able to make his muscles so tough that the bug couldn't penetrate. It's like everyone's cheering him on, complimenting his muscles, which is incredibly funny. And he's like able to like resist the bug. Then Shinra starts fighting Burns. And Joker joins into the fight. So those two, they're fighting Burns, and then all that picking up. A lot of that fight will go and be picked up a lot more next week. Then uh, Burns' subordinates, they investigate Rekka's, who was a member of their squad that was part of the White Clad. Basically, they investigate some of his past missions. They were to learn that he had visited the same orphanage that uh, Sister Iris and the squad captain for like Squad 5 captain, basically like the orphanage they were at, how basically that place is connected to doppelgangers. And then yeah, so basically so Hibana, the Squad 5 captain, and Iris, the nun that works for like Squad 8, basically they were both like at that orphanage. Rekka was there, so potentially that leads to some big reveal regarding what happens at that. Well, what's going down at that orphanage? I'm not gonna say what happened. I'm not saying what happened, but it is important what goes down, and it's freaking weird. Like the big reveal is actually kind of creepy. Yeah, but as far as episode, it was a really good episode. The Obi stuff was freaking funny. The Arthur stuff was funny, and everything else. It was a pretty good setup for next week. And yeah, like this episode, looking forward to the next one. Teogonia episode 4. So in this one, Kai, basically where it's basically like those like little like nomads, whatever, consider him to be this arbitration god. They keep calling God. He's kind of a little annoyed by it. He tells them they can't live in the valley. So he defeats like these orcs that are attacking them. They thank him. He eats the godstone. He shares the godstone with the old like leader of the nomads. And then that and that orc that ogre or whatever that they killed was a guardian bearer. And so like the god spirit inside like goes inside, like goes back I guess to the grave or afterlife, whatever. And then you know basically so I continues life in the village. Those basically so those little they can't live inside the inner valley, but they can live like a little outside. Basically, I guess I don't know if it's due to like they don't want to start risk trespassing or something. But you have Arwe, who's like the little girl, who's a girl that was going to be sacrificed, you know, for Kai, and who Kai stopped from being sacrificed. basically she like tries to follow Kai. Well, basically Kai wakes up in the air valley like where and he sees Arue sleeping next to him. Like he's like, the heck? So basically, since she won't go away, he's like, all right, you can stay here. Sit. So he goes back and forth between that area and the village. So the village, he spars with Jose's father, who's the chief of the village, and basically like he tries to hide his powers, which causes him to lose the fight. And then when that and so and basically the chief he's amused by him. So basically like he wants to train Kai, and then basically Kai trains with Jose and the chief and spends time with Arue. Basically like it's just back and forth. And he's doing work, he gets some extra helpings of food because I guess due to this he's able to do more work than some others. Which makes some other people jealous. I mean more jokingly jealous. I don't think they're really pissed off. And also Elsa, who's like girl who's from the same village as Kai was. Basically like So basically, you kind of have like seems to be like three girls that are into Kai. You have Jose, Elsa, and Arwe. Yeah, this is not a harem show. I mean, it's an isekai, so some trope. I mean, there are some things that you see in a lot of isekai with character, the male character having a lot of female fans. You know, that is a common trope. And I don't know much about the source material, so I can't say too much about this. And like so basically with all this, so as far as the episode goes, I thought it was an interesting episode. It was just a slice of life episode, just him going like back and forth between the village and those nomads. It was kind of funny to see how everyone was like trying to basically how like he's become more prominent within the village. He kind of doesn't want to draw attention, but he's become more prominent, which is kind of funny. But yeah, I thought this was a good episode. Good humor, good animation, decent combat whenever there was combat. And yeah, I'm looking forward to next week's. And that's it. Did y'all like the stuff I reviewed? And if you have your own opinions about all that, you can put all that in the comments. Thank you for watching. And like, subscribe, and all that. And look forward to the next video.